Hi guys. So, wow, this week has been crazy. I've been wanting to come on like every day and I just cannot seem to pull myself away from, feeling like there's just so much breaking every minute. I have my cards out from that Wednesday, my reading on what was coming on Wednesday. And so because first of all, I feel like based on what occurred, I have like more idea of some things in it that I think are interesting, and sort of throughout the day what I felt I was getting from my guides, and it's just kind of interesting. So, and first I want to acknowledge the great news that happened with the Senate runoffs. John Ossoff won, Warnock won. It did work out. I'm so happy, and just want to remember like how great that was before this disaster came. But like I said, I do think there's more more of a way to look at it besides just disaster. So we'll get to that in a second. But I also, on my read on the Senate runoffs, people felt I was giving Kelly Loeffler a break because I didn't mention that she is also very wealthy and she is also corrupt, just like Perdue. But what I had read into in my read on David Perdue was more of a political money backing, okay? Kelly Loeffler, yes, she's very rich. She didn't have that political history. And it's actually true. I even was like, started questioning myself on what I had gotten there. She has never held an office. She was just put there. Perdue had that. And that's what I was referring to, that root system he had. And it's actually, I like heard pundits basically saying the same thing when people asked why was Perdue harder to beat a little bit than Loeffler. And so anyway, I just felt like a lot of people sort of jumped on this thing where I didn't mention Kelly Loeffler. Also is wealthy, also is corrupt. Anyway, she's gone. And that is also, I saw that more solid on my read on her contest. I saw it more solid, so I moved on to Perdue. I actually think that the cards did express what happened. There was a thinner margin here, but anyway, very happy that Democrats got that and that we can have some relief there. So moving on now, and one more thing I wanted to say that I keep meaning to recommend this other YouTube channel to you guys. He's not a psychic. If you're on Twitter, you might recognize the name Jared Yates Sexton. I'll put his name in writing in this video. But he's a journalist, he's a professor, and he's an author, and he has a YouTube channel, and it's called J Sexton 3. It's a terrible name for a YouTube channel, but I'll put the name here. And it's more political discussion. But he saw so much of this coming for so long. And I feel like a lot of us, or, intuitives also felt this coming. And he really likes the idea of having a community and chatting and talking. So I just wanted to recommend his channel. You can also, if you just search Bourbon Talk with Jared Yates Sexton, sometimes he'll sit out there and drink a bourbon and just like get things off his chest. But I always find it really a relief to hear someone talk about, in such a raw way, because it's, this stuff's real. It's a coup, it's fascism that is showing itself here in America. And that's just the sort of stuff he discusses. So if you're interested, I've been meaning to throw that out there. Now, my reading. This was my reading on what was coming on Wednesday. I did feel this heartbreak coming, of course. Now, somebody very smart who watches my channel said, why aren't you taking this Tower card more seriously? And I said, well, it's in the hopes and fears position. That's based on the Celtic Cross Tarot spread, which is what my general spread style is based on. Interesting to note, as I study it now, I also see it's sometimes considered a guidance and warning card position. I said some people, they want to tear the whole thing down, right? Boy, this card takes on new meaning after the fact, right? And I said, a lot of us are afraid. This is why we're doing the reading. A lot of us can feel like they want to, these people are bad. They're going to, you know, cause problems in the city. And I said, you know, what I see in the outcome cards, you know, I've got justice. This is more of just handing out little things. This Six of Pentacles, this is him leaving. And then the outcome was that Joe Biden is going to get his certification. The winner is going to be put into his place. And throughout the day, I kept saying to my guides, why did I get this? Why did I get this? And I kept saying it feels good in the end, right? And I'm like, and I kept getting, because it is going to be okay. That's what I kept getting. And it's so funny because I'm remembering as a child, I used to debate with my spirit guides. Now, I did not at the time have that language to be able to say spirit guides or whatever. I was just a kid having conversations with it sounded to me like two women voices. And it's interesting because I did a reading with Melissa Free Range Psychic, someone else I really want to recommend. A lot of you probably already listened to her. And she introduces you to your spirit guides. And she did say you have two woman spirit guides. And it was so interesting. So I recommend her as well. But anyway, I would debate with them. And it was always at the water. My grandparents lived on a lake, so I would stare at the lake and we would have these debates. And their argument to me, well, it wasn't really an argument, but what they said to me was, I mean, it sounds corny, and also I'm getting like all this heat in my head because I feel like I'm connecting. That, in case you hadn't noticed, when I say I get heat in my head, I feel that is when I'm connecting really with spirit. So, or that's their way of telling me, yeah, you know, like encouraging me in whatever I'm touching upon. And they would say, yeah, so I know this is something you've heard a million times. I mean, the Beatles said it too. Basically, they said, the answer to every question is love, okay? Love is always the answer to every question, kind of thing. Like anything you ask about, it all comes back to love. And so I would say, well, I always wanted to challenge that because I was like, well, why is my sister so mean to me then, right? And we would have these deep, and I know it wasn't me answering because the answers I couldn't have come up with. And they were like always like really beautiful and profound. And I just remember that really enjoyable, watching the waves and having these enjoyable debates with my spirit guides. And I stopped doing that because I realized my family thinks I'm weird. And I'm supposed to be having conversation, you know, it was in my head. I wasn't speaking out loud, but you know, I realized I'm supposed to be making friends with people and all that. And I felt like that day when all this stuff was happening that we were debating again. And it's just kind of fun to acknowledge that and maybe just tell you guys, I just kept saying, this is a disaster. The cards said it was all gonna turn out okay. And they would say, well, it is gonna turn out okay. And I also was, once they had to evacuate the building, the Capitol, I was like, but it's not gonna end with Joe Biden getting certified and being put in his place. And they would say, it's gonna end with Joe Biden certified. And, you know, they just kept, they were not, I guess my point is, spirit was not, I didn't feel alarm from the other side. I felt more like it's gonna be okay, you know? And I was so like, first of all, in general, very excited by the fact that Congress came back. I thought that was awesome, such a great statement. They were the tough ones coming back and saying, you're not gonna bully us out of our job today. And I think that was so important that they came back. And I also think it's amazing that my guys were right and that it did happen. Of course it happened, you know, past midnight and all that, but they finished the job. And I was also like, you know, and I did see this as protesters and cops. And I said to you guys, the cops are gonna get control of the situation, right? And I'm watching him going, the cops are not in control of the situation at all. It's the other way around. But it was like, they'll get control. It'll get there, you know? And I saw this as like arrests being handed out, that kind of thing. And I've also been saying, well, that day there were only like 15 arrests. I want to see 100 arrests at the very least. And I also feel like this being on the right side, which is things coming in, right? And this is things going out. And I just know, and we're seeing it now. The arrests are coming. They're coming, they're coming, they're coming, and they're going to keep coming. So I wanted to tell you guys that. I did say, I remember saying, and it's so chilling to me. I said, you know, it's going to be a heartbreaking day. This now to me, I'm like, I said, this is how America feels. This is how we felt that day. We did get stabbed in the heart by those people. And there was, I said, I think there might be like an actual stabbing or some kind of bad injury. And I realized that I believe there are now 5 people who died. And I'm sure more injuries than that. But I remember seeing that woman carried out of the Capitol. I just felt like that one was the one I had like seen in this reading. And also that night, the night I did this reading was Tuesday. I did this reading Tuesday. That night I had a terrible dream. And I wanted to mention this also. In the dream, I went into a store and I went down steps to this store and it smelled so bad. It was like, I get this sometimes when I go in dream state into bad energies, it can smell really bad. And it was the worst. And I remember, and there was kind of scary types in the store, right? And a cop came in and started shooting. And I took cover, and then it got silent, and I knew someone had been shot, and like, I was just like, oh my God, there's like a person who's been shot and might die, and they're like feet away from me, you know? I couldn't see the cop or the person, but I woke up and I was like, oh God. I was like, first of all, did something like this happen? And is this today going to be more violent than I was afraid of? And, you know, sure enough, that happened. And I tell you that because also throughout the day when I was looking at these images that I was seeing, and I'm sure you guys felt it too, the energy that it was like, that is the dark, awful energy like coming up for us to see in front of our faces. And there's something, and I also wanted to talk about this justice card. I'm like, this is justice, but I'm like drawn, I kept being like reminded of this scale here, right? It's like Trump has put so much, Trump and the others who support him, they put so much of this energy out there. And this was what, it was like that phrase, what you sow, you reap what you sow or something. Yeah. And it was like, that's sort of the justice. This justice took on more of a meaning when I thought of it that day. And I had a lot of questions. What is justice? The justice did happen. By the end of the day, they did their job. And I thought that was great. And like worth acknowledging, by the way. We can't just look at that day as this disaster, they got the upper hand, that kind of thing, because they came back and did it. And ultimately, the cops did get rid of these people. They did work out. Like my guides kept saying throughout the day, it was like, I wanted them to get upset or worried or scared like I was, and it was just that same calm, well, it is going to work out. And it is going to be okay. And Biden is going to get that certification. And they are going to get these people under control. And so just sort of like I'm not even in my life that much of a positive person. But when I do my readings, I know I always am. And because I just feel that the message does look for the positive. It's just like there's no way around it. That is how they tend to, that is like the only way is to always try to look at the positive. And, you know, there is some justice to the fact that this is now unavoidably glaring what Trump has done in this country. And didn't it in a way weirdly feel like it almost had to get to that level. And it could have been so much worse. And I'm so sorry for the people who died, particularly the police officer, but it will not be in vain because it's like, apparently it needed to get this bad. And, you know, there's still the question of, has it even gotten bad enough? We're still wondering that right now, aren't we? Because he's still there in office, although by the time I release this, maybe he won't be there. There's so much happening. But I felt like that this was such a strong card for the day, and it's in an interesting way, in a broader perspective. It's like Trump is getting it's like that balance, that negative energy needed to express itself. And the fact that it happened in the way it did, like he deserves that on him for his legacy. That negative energy had to go somewhere, and it was on full display. That energy from that negative energy that just stinks, and you can feel the heaviness of it. It's like that came out. And whoever it is that commented was absolutely right. I will never look at the hopes and fears as simply hopes and fears, but potentials. Because, you know, it's possible that when I did that on Tuesday, it really was still just a potential. But with that many people wanting this, it did express itself. It came to be, you know? So I just find that interesting. And this card I remember, and I thought about this a lot, and especially this is people now being willing, so it was this covered by this, because of this heartbreak that we saw, and it's even more elevated now that we saw how that day went, how this expressed itself. More people are turning their back on Trump, and we did see that even happening. It was like before the riot and after the riot that people were like, and I was saying, I think people are thinking about not objecting. They're thinking about turning their back on Trump. And it's happening more and more. We could use more of it. Also, I did notice Mitch McConnell, like I said here with the Hierophant and the Temperance, like he's starting to be like, okay, and like, and Pence as well. You know, suck it up. And here it is. And then the other thing, and then this is like, yeah, this is oh man, this kind of says more also to me after the fact. This would be new love, new joy, upside down. It's like new like this new, I don't know if it's despair is not the right word, but just we were very distraught that day. So interesting, this Queen of Wands with this Ace of Swords. If I said, I think that the new AG is going to be announced in the middle of everything. And it was. And I want to say that because I believe it's significant to what's coming in the future. Which, and I know that Merrick Garland's not a woman, but he can still be a Queen of Wands. And I noticed that all three beneath Merrick Garland are women. Not that that really matters, but... you know, and also there were a lot of good speeches. We did get to hear both sides. If you guys watched the Congress floor, we definitely got a lot of swords of truths that day, especially after the rioting. And here's where I get into something interesting that I really wanted to share. I was saying, okay, we have, this is the loss, this Five of Cups, the loss and disappointment. I am referring specifically to Trump's loss and how they have used conspiracy theory to try to throw the true election upside down and out, which is what we saw in that coup attempt Wednesday. The planning. And like this takes on a whole new light for me now, because I was saying, well, you're always going to have people who are disappointed, talking in their little rabbit holes. They're pretending that the election was stolen. That's their story. This moon upside down, this sort of screaming and hollering, not like, and especially that it's upside down, it's screaming and hollering nonsense things that aren't true. And then the 10 of Cups with the 10 of Swords, wanting to put an end to Biden's win. But what I get here now, because of what we saw, this plan card kept coming up to me. This was planned. And I know, and now the news is starting to say that and recognize that also. it's definitely a much bigger question, but I just wanted to point out that it was here and it is here in the cards. I'm getting heat in my head and a little dizziness on that. So man, that is going to be, so this, yeah, we will read on this. I also want to read on what's going to happen with Trump in the next couple weeks. The loss, it was planned. The planning, it just makes me so, it just makes my stomach turn. They wanted to put an end to democracy. I mean, look at that. This being democracy, we're all one, we're all, you know, we're so happy and we're all going to get what we need in life. This is what they wanted to do to that. I remember I said the magician, the world, these are investigations that are coming, right? I just took that as the usual investigations we think are happening and will be coming. This takes on a whole new meaning to me now. Oh man, I've mixed up all my cards. The AG here, the new AG, which was announced in the middle of everything. The conspiracy theory plans. These cards, man, they upset me. The fake, pretending everything was stolen, the howling, this was all planned. They wanted to take it back. Oh, they wanted to steal it back. I mean, take it back. They wanted to cause havoc. They wanted a different ending. This is the ending that existed. This is the ending they wanted. It's disgusting. And this is the investigations that are coming by our new AG. And even these three cards, following that, this 7 of rods with this 9 of rods right here. And in the middle, we have what I'm seeing, this Ace of Pentacles. Oh man. So I know I watched Diane's tarot and she keeps getting these pentacles and, you know, feeling there was money exchanged. Sometimes I don't always look at pentacles as just money, but things of value or like arrests. Like I felt like that was arrests. And I feel like this is a giant, because it's an ace, brand new and very big. Charge, arrest, and could be I think it's a charge. And this being, there are people who are very nervous. They are trying to be defensive, defend themselves, but they're trapped. I mean, look at that. The walls are closing in on people, Trump, for what they did. For this, kept popping into my head, this plan, it was planned. Anyway, so I'm gonna end this for now, but I guess the main point I wanted to say is to just remember that it did, in a big way, work out, and it will continue to work out. More arrests coming. There is a certain justice to this in that, you know, we have only ourselves or the people who haven't taken action to blame. I mean, there is a certain, if you're not going to do anything, this is what you're going to, when you have someone inciting violence, you're going to get the violence. That balance is there, and the justice of, you know, Trump thinking he's going to do one thing, but it's just pure negativity, and he's going to create it, and he created it on this grand scale. And he can never get away from that. That will always be on him. And it's almost like I can't find the words for this justice card. The bigger picture of justice that is happening and that day did have about it. Not only that in the end, justice was served and Biden was given his certification, but in that, like, you reap what you sow is basically just the phrase that keeps going through my mind. And not that that should have happened to us, but like it should have, in a way, yeah. Trump deserved for that to be so widely seen and shown and now attached to him for life, for his legacy. And also, true that hopes and fears take that position more seriously, because that can absolutely, just because you don't see it everywhere else, it's almost like a warning. This is there. be warned. That could express itself, and it will work itself out, and it will be okay. And that was the message from my guides the whole day. So anyway, I'm going to stop this for now, but I just wanted to go over that reading because I felt I had more, there was more messages in there about that day. So I'll talk to you soon. And feel free to, as always, comment. Always love to hear your analysis on the cards as well. And I thank you for watching. Love that I can share this stuff with you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.